Greetings, various beings from throughout Middle-earth, Maya, Valar, citizens of Gondor, stewards of Middle-earth, and servants of the Dark Lord, and welcome back. Today, we have recently uncovered some ancient texts that depict the life of Azog the Defiler, with Azog the Defiler being one of, if not the single-handedly most powerful and dreadful orc to ever roam the lands of Arda. Azog the Defiler was an orc lord of the Third Age, who commanded the brutal tribes of Moria until his death in Third Age 2799. He was single-handedly responsible for the death of the Dwarven king Thror. The death of Thror would ultimately signify the union of the seven dwarf clans, something that would never happen afterwards, and something that could only be united through their hatred of Azog, as possibly one of the most hated figures in all of Peter Jackson's universe when it comes to the dwarves. Let's break down the entire life of Azog, his abilities, his physical appearance, and brutal personality. Azog's origins are untold. He entered history and enlaid himself as a brutal dictator in the year's Third Age 2790 due to King Thror's desire to revisit and perhaps reclaim the lost realm of Khazad-dûm, known to the more common tongue of Moria. Thror encountered Azog there, and Azog beheaded him, carving his name to Thror's head and throwing his body back to Nar, the sole companion Thror had chosen to take with him. Azog demanded that Nar deliver a message back to Thror's kingdom, warning the beggars who dared enter Moria and attempted thievery would attempt a similar fate. Azog then proclaimed he had killed Thror and now ruled Moria as its king. His name, carved in runes on the brow of Thror, became branded onto the hearts of dwarves and stoked their anger, adding fire and igniting a flame that Azog could not satiate. Nar was barred from retrieving the head of Thror, and orcs threw him a small pouch of coins of little worth as a final gesture of scorn. Nar took the pouch, turned, and fled. When he looked back, orcs had emerged from the gate and were hacking apart Thror's corpse, flinging the pieces as carrion for the crows. When news of Thror's death reached Thror's heir, Thrain II, he was greatly infuriated and mustered a force of dwarves from Durin's folk and the 6 other clans to seek utter revenge on Azog, and many battles were fought beneath their earth. After 9 years of brutal campaigning and tyrannical warfare, before the gates of Moria itself, the climatic battle of Azanabalzar was fought, and Azog emerged from the gate of Moria. In that battle, Azog threw Nain on the stairs, but was beheaded by Dain, son of Nain, when he attempted to retreat. His head was impaled on a stake, and the pouch of coins he had thrown to Nar was stuffed into his mouth as the final gesture of distaste. Except for Thrain, the dwarves made no attempt to press their advantage by pursuing the orcs into the mines, many of them having been murdered. Dain had glimpsed Durin's bane deep within the chasm and warned Thrain not to attempt entering it. Azog's underground realm population had been greatly reduced in the war, and his reign passed to his son Bolg for the next 150 years, until Bolg's death in the climactic battle of the 5 armies. Azog is also mentioned briefly in The Hobbit by Gandalf, who says to Thorin, "Your grandfather, Thror, was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by Azog the Goblin," to which Thorin's response, "Curse his name, yes." Incidentally, this is the only place J.R.R. Tolkien has referred to Azog as a goblin, as he has referred the rest of the time, as a fearsome orc and just an orc, to be honest. Not even a goblin, as goblins are typically smaller in stature. Now, let's move on to his physical appearance. Azog is depicted in the films as a huge, fearsome-looking, hell-killing orc, the most developed example of the orc species in all of Middle-earth. Unlike any other orc seen in Peter Jackson's film adaptations, Azog and his band speak using the orcish language rather than the English, refuses to speak in common speech, even for people who do not know orcish. Azog is also a very large and extremely powerful orc, if not taller than the most of the advanced Uruk-hai and far more bulky. His skin is bone white, compared to other orcs whose skin colour generally ranges from sickly green to a dark brown or light peachy colours. Further differentiating Azog from other orcs are his piercing blue eyes and smoother skin, with deep tattoo-like incisions covering his face and torso. He looks arguably less barbaric than the other orcs, save for the wicked-looking metal claw replacing his severed forearm. The aft leg of the prosthetic ends in a spike protruding near his elbow, heavily suggesting that the limb was crudely implanted by driving the spike through Azog's arm stump. The fact that Azog can sustain this prosthesis is an example of his immense ambitions to survive and true, utter durability. Now, let's move on to his abilities. Azog, as depicted in the Hobbit film trilogy engineered by Peter Jackson, is an immensely proficient and skillful barbaric warrior with a brutal fighting tactic and style that includes keeping his distance from his opponent and using psychological warfare to infuriate his enemy in order to allow them to make a mistake. He possesses superhuman strength, speed, and durability, able to effortlessly overpower and demolish whole groups of opponents at one single time. However, after he lost his arm against Thorin Oakenshield, he was forced to do less of the fighting and command his pack from a safe distance. He is a callous, ruthless, idealistic, and tenacious leader of his war riders of his battalion, being immensely intelligent and throwing brutal tactical ability when he corners Thorin and company in the trees in his second battle with Thorin. Azog was even able to throw Gandalf with the swing of his mace in The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, despite the fact that he was eventually paralysed by Gandalf's staff, and along with Gandalf being a Maiar, one of the Ainur, and one of the most powerful beings in Tolkien's works, allowing for the latter to temporarily escape from the Necromancer, aka Sauron. Azog is shown to be an expert war rider, able to tirelessly and effortlessly pursue Thorin and company during the first film, and briefly shadows them during the second film. He is an excellent hunter and has almost limitless determination and desire. In The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Azog throws his military tactics and skills by commanding the orcs atop a mountain, giving troop movements and commands to lethal effect. He also fights Thorin strategically. He sends a group of orcs to kill Thorin, or to exhaust him at the very least, then fights Thorin again in his weakest state. After Thorin overpowers him and apparently drowns him, Azog feigns death, and when Thorin is close enough, he takes the dwarf by surprise and stabs him in the foot, embedding the knife within his flesh. He had also anticipated Thorin would enter to rescue Kili and easily managed to ambush him, taking him by surprise. Well, my friends and stewards of Middle-earth, what did you think of this overview of the life, abilities, personality of Azog the Defiler, including his orcish and harrowing description? Azog the Defiler is effortlessly the most powerful orc in all of Tolkien's works, save for a select few, possibly Bolg, his own son, being the most brutal, and being taller than almost elves. Well, my friends, this is where we part ways. Be sure to excavate the tombs of Balin within Khazad-dûm. Be sure to check the wreckage of the Battle of the Zanabulzar for more archives. I've just dispatched our writers in order to uncover more information for us to cover next Wednesday. Goodbye, my friends. This is where... Just one last disclaimer before we truly depart from our realm and go and venture into the mysterious land of Middle-earth. I would like to inform you that a limited amount of the people who watch my channel and excavate the tombs of Khazad-dûm are actually subscribed. I put and pour a lot of effort into making my 5 channels on YouTube possible, and truly enjoy thoroughly immersing myself in the content. So I would greatly appreciate it if you shared this with a friend and click the subscribe and like button down below.